There we go. So, welcome, shooters, loaders, casters, and all you folks in the side chat. Thanks for joining us for another Friday night Georgia Shooting Connection. I know you didn't expect to see me running the show, but that's what's going to happen tonight. Jamie had some previously scheduled plans, so I will try my best. Y'all be easy on me. Y'all know I don't read the side chat that good.
You just went live.
Oh yeah, we're live, definitely.
No, I'm just saying. I finally got a notification of us going live.
Oh yeah, it definitely has some delay in it sometimes. So let's see. We're going to continue on. We're still on the back to basics. So like last week and the week before, we talked about trimming in depth, and hopefully some of you are out there hanging with us, and we're going to move on to that next step. But as always, I got my brother Kyle here, got brother MCK, got Squats Reloading. Echo and the Bunny Man will be in here shortly. But as always, thanks for joining us. Kyle, how you been, brother?
Hot. Just that's all I can say is hot. The normal shop foreman's been on vacation this week. She's up in Michigan. She runs that place like a sewing machine. So we had the branch manager there, and oh my goodness, he does everything backwards, and nothing was the same. I spent more time in the shop than I did at my desk. It was just hot. That's all I got. I'm glad it's Friday. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, just excited to be here tonight. Filling in the last minute. Just been reloading some 300 blackout this week. Back to work tomorrow night, and glad I could be here and good to see all you guys. So pass it over to Squatch.
Hey guys, it's awesome to be here. I'm always honored to be on with these guys. Good dudes. I invited some of my How guys that are interested in reloading to jump on. I told them we were doing an intro to reloading. So this is always a good learning experience, asking questions and so on. I was going to complain about being hot, but I know Kyle and Chico down there in Georgia, you guys know what hot weather's like. I'm just a baby when it comes to, getting above 85. So I'm not going to do that, but it's good to be here. And Chico, take it away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, thanks for joining us. Everyone in the side chat, I look like I'm going to have to pull up my phone because it's always different if you run the show. Trust me, it's like 4 different screens you have to look at. So, let's see. I thought I seen it's like 20 of y'all out there at least. Let me pull up my phone. Yeah, we're gonna finish on or not finish. We're gonna continue on. We are working on like basically rifle reloading. That's what our whole premise has been on. Starting back from the basics. We have been talking about pistols also, but if y'all remember last week we were on trimming brass. So now we're gonna go to the next step, which I asked some of the guys what do they think is best. So this is what I'll say. Everyone mileage can and will vary at some extent or to some extent, and people do stuff different. So the way that I do it ain't necessarily wrong, and the way that Kyle do it ain't necessarily right. No, I'm just but everyone does it different ways. What I'm trying to say. So y'all take this with what works best for you. Damn, excuse me, I made them leave. I didn't mean to make you leave, Kyle. But just do whatever works best for you. Like I said, you'll probably get in your routine or your rhythm what works best for you. So a lot of you guys know I'm still kind of new to rifle reloading. I can load some pistol rounds fairly good, but rifle reloading I'm still learning, and I'm not ashamed to say that at all. So I've been learning as much as from you guys in the side chat and my brothers here on the panel. So while Echo's on the way, let's see. I asked Squatch what did he think is the best, the next step, and I totally agree. He was talking about loading your primers or priming your cases, basically. So Squatch has an excellent series on 223 Reloading, and I've been watching that very discreetly. But you know, I've still been watching. I've been tuning in. So, can you give some feedback on that, Squatch?
Yeah. You know, when it comes to like loading rifle or even some precision pistol rounds, I like to do. You know, you guys have tons of different ways to put primers in. Every one of your presses nowadays pretty much comes with some form of onboard priming, whether it's like on the RCBS over here on the Redding. You're either going to have, you know, some way of installing primers on the press. Now, a lot of guys like the hand primers, and I've always kind of shied away from them. But I've started doing more bulk reloading, like 223. I think everyone's probably jumping on that bandwagon right now. And I have a conversion kit for my 750, but I haven't got over there yet and tried rifle on my 750. But I've been doing the hand primer. I got a small like RCBS hand primer over here. I'll grab it. But you know, just like this is a very simple tool. And what's really nice about it is, you know, you guys that have been priming for a while understand your pickup trays or your your primer flip trays. It's got an integrated flip tray. It uses a shell holder that you should already have for whatever rifle cartridge you're using, and you just pop them in by hand. And this set for a long time on my bench, and I use it occasionally, but it's pretty dang quick. I mean, you can bust through these real fast getting primers in. And the way I reload 223, you know, since I am doing bulk, I do it in stages. So I'll have, you know, clean brass, I'll have size brass and trim brass, and then I'll have brass that I have primers in, and I call that my ready to load brass. And if you guys check out the series that I got, that's basically how I'm working through it. It's not a super quick process, but like, you know, Chico talked about earlier, you really got to just get into it and figure out what method works for you, and whatever way you can go about the steps of the process and find as many opportunities to check, double check, and triple check your work. And you know, that's a good method to install the primers. And then of course, you know, on press priming is always a good option. And I utilize that more for smaller batch sizes. Like if I'm doing, you know, a 20 pack for hunting or precision rifle, anything bigger than 223 that I'm bulk loading, I'll typically prime on press, because I don't want to, you know, tie up a bunch of primers in a bunch of brass all at one time. But with 223, it makes it pretty simple. But that's kind of where I'm at with priming right now. If you guys have any questions, email me, hit them in the side chat, and we'll try to cover them tonight.
I agree with what you said. I've got I like the large Folgers coffee cans because I can get them from work, and I've got dirty 300, you know, dirty 223, whatever. Then I've got cleaned, then I've got trimmed, and then I've got RTL wrote on them, ready to load. They're already primed, and just all I got to do is run them through.
Very cool, brother. Real quick, let me Echo, thanks for joining us, brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you hosting tonight.
No problem, man. How's your week been thus far?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Ordered some computer parts. I have a buddy of mine going to throw a tower together for me. And I scored 4,000 CCI 41 primers from my good buddy in Utah. And he kept checking back and back at this gun shop, and they said, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming." And he got them for me, so I was really happy.
Primers are always good. Cool, brother. So Echo, I'm sure you may have been having supper, but are you on the same schedule as us as far as we've already talked about trimming? Now we're kind of on like priming and the next few steps after we got our cases all cleaned up and we got them all trimmed to length, sized. and we're at the next steps. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, however you want to do it, brother.
Sure, no problem. So what I was going to ask you, what is your preferred method of priming for, let's say, a newbie?
I think you probably, if you're a new starter, you're going to prime on the press because that's what you have available to you. And some of the Lee setups and some of the RCBS setups are easy to do on a single stage or a turret. Some of the turrets, though, have some issues. I use a Lee bench top priming system. It's very reasonable, and I've done thousands of rounds of 223 on it, and I use it for everything. And occasionally I'll break one of the little plastic parts, but Lee always gives me a few more when I call. So there's no problem there. I keep them stocked.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. When I first started, reloading, whether it's rifle or pistol being rifle, I started on the press just because the first press I bought or purchased, it had own press priming system, and that's the 650. I have yet to own a hand primer, but I've heard so many people talk about it. And I can kind of see the versatility of it, like being where I'm at now, not in my reloading room, priming cases and stuff like that. So I kind of see it both ways. I think MCK, did you have something about priming also? I didn't want to skip over you either. You're muted, brother.
I've heard good and bad about the Lee hand primer, and I have had good luck with mine. I got the what's it called, the auto prime. So
You say you did have good luck?
I have good luck, yes.
Good.
In the beginning, I had go ahead and blow me up, Chico. This piece here, it's like an elevator. It lifts the new primer and it slides over into the slot, which, puts it on top of the plunger. Well, the original version, was really cheap, thin plastic, so it snapped within a couple days. And we all know customer service with Lee is pretty good. I sent them an email, didn't hear nothing for 3 or 4 days, but all of a sudden, I got a whole new piece in the mail with a new design, and here it is, and it's still running. I do have an attachment on my single stage to prime with. We're all familiar with that style. This is an old Lyman. And but I've had good luck with the Lee, so don't be scared to try them out. They're about $25-$30 depending. And you get a knack for it. It's not that bad. So that's about all I got for that.
Cool, bro. Thanks for sharing that. That was, I've heard that a lot too about Lee products. Look, a lot of people know I went totally opposite of what most new reloaders do. I went with a progressive press, my first press, but I knew what I wanted to do. Don't think just because you see a Dylan press that I don't own Lee stuff. I own a lot of Lee stuff, and I enjoy their products. I think they make a good product. Warranty sometimes push me towards my purchasing habits, and that's just the way I think. So, but I do own a few Lee dies and some other stuff. So a Lee book, a Lee reloading manual. So I think it's a very good value, even for new or seasoned reloaders. I almost own every Lee factory crimp die for every caliber I own. So that should tell you something. Let's see.
I think the Lee factory is about the best in the business right now, period, in my opinion.
It is. I agree. It works. It works amazing to me. That's it. But I am a new reloader, so
I don't think we're ever seasoned.
Right. I know some people say it. I've heard people say it fixes your mistakes, maybe. But I haven't had, I guess everybody has those cases of shame. I think we talked about it a few weeks back. Throughout all this whole series, you're gonna mess a case up. It's not, So I would suggest you don't practice on like Lapua brass. Practice on some range pickup or something, but don't practice on that expensive brass. So, Kyle.
Where?
Hey, brother, what is your preferred method of priming?
I generally do it all on the press. I'll size and prime them and throw them in a salsa jar or something like that, and just have them sitting there ready to go when I need them. And then, which on a Dillon that kind of throws off the rhythm, but baby girl, I'm on a live chat. Gosh, these Germans. I'm telling you. There, you broke it. Generally, it's always on the press. I've got a hand primer. It's a Frankfurt Arsenal. I really, honestly, I've never used it. I just have it in case. I prime on the Lee little 4-turret here. On my Loadmasters, I use the priming feature on it. The Dillon, I use the priming feature on it. I always just prime on the press.
Cool, brother. I'm looking for Harshman Hill's question. The Scotsman pointed it out. I can't find it, but I'm going to highlight Scotsman's question. Oops, it moved that quick. Let's see. Did it show up? Ooh, there we go. He says, do you pistol primers and 2009 primers 209 primers have the same dimensions at the base?
I haven't checked, Chico, but
no. 209s are shotgun primers.
They're awful hot, ain't they?
209s are Magnum shotgun primers.
They're hot too. Yeah,
Well,
even the non-magnums are hot.
Yeah, first of all, they won't fit. Because that's all he can find. I bet's why he asked that question. That's all he can find. No, they won't work at all. Don't waste your money, or if you do waste your money, just send them to me when you figure out they won't work.
And I could see his point, being able to knock that out of there and using it, but it's more like the size of a large rifle, not a small rifle.
Right. Well, hang on. I'll I can do
Here's
this.
That one right here.
are you talking about knocking that ring off around the primer? MCK, is that what you're talking about?
Well, I just didn't know if that's what they might be thinking of, using them in another application.
Well, first of all, we all have to high-heartedly recommend against said procedures and practices.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not recommend doing it at all.
Well, I'm fixing to show you that it won't work. If I can get just
The
one.
anvil's different too.
Yeah.
The anvil's totally different.
Yeah.
Okay. Zoom me in, Chico.
All right.
And this is one off the wall of shame. The primer's in backwards. Happens. All right. That's a small pistol primer. This is a shotgun primer. It will not go in there at all. So I understand what you were thinking and why you were thinking it, because that's all you can find. It will not work at all, period. It's hell, just the primer part is almost the diameter of the case for a 9mm. Okay? No, do not buy them. Do not waste your money. They won't work. And besides that, you'll probably blow your face off. Just saying.
Other than shotgun working muzzle loaders, that's about it.
James Pollard, there's no way in hell it will go in that hole. A small pistol primer and a shotgun Magnum primer will not go in the same hole. Oh, well, I guess if you push hard enough. Never mind. Okay. I see where
Chico.
Your best bet to find primers right now is to check your local gun shops, the small mom and pops, on the 1st of every month and ask them, because CCI, I know for a fact, is sending out limited amounts to all their distributors on the 1st of every month. And they get them between the 1st and like the 5th. You may have to make a few trips, but you will find them.
I got a picture of or blow me up, Chico. I'll show you that shotgun primer's anvil. It's totally different.
Okay. Come on. Try it again.
Yeah, that anvil quite large, and the primer housing, it's awful tall too. So it's a totally different design. And they're strong. I made the mistake of not having powder in a reloaded 12 gauge, and it sent the slug 30 or 40 feet without any primer at all.
Without any powder.
Without any powder. Sorry. Yes.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. It was one of the Lee key drives. No powder. It was a shotgun, 12 gauge, and sounded funny too. Boom. Flying. Anyway.
Oh yeah. So Harshman, I think I'm assuming Harshman Hills is a new reloader. So yeah, I agree with like everything everyone said. It's gonna be real hard to find any small pistol primers right now. You can definitely ask. If you just do a Google search, you'll find out like all reloaders we're going through the same thing right now. I hypothesize that will change. I can't tell you when, but it definitely will change. It's, stuff like this happens every so often. But we won't get into that on this show. But Level Guns had a question, and I know I know what I would do, but I want to ask Echo what can he recommend would be the best procedure to do this, because this happens. I have Magnum primers that I could use in place of standard primers. What would you suggest?
Well, if you're talking 223 or 308, you want to start at a lower powder charge. I would reduce the powder charge by 10% and from the starting charge, and start from there with the Magnum, and then work your way up until you get the velocities you're looking for. And I would be kind of careful. Like, I was recommended by Starline Brass Company. They sell some match 308 Winchester in small primer pockets. And I was under the impression that with a full charge of like Varget, you're not going to get consistent ignition with just a large regular primer, or small regular rifle primer. So they suggested using small Magnum primers, rifle primers, and also or the 41 from CCI, or the bench rest primers, because they seem to be a little bit hotter.
That is a different perspective on it. If you like, I've heard the 45 ACP small primer pocket casings tend to have more accuracy than the regular normal large casings. I was wondering if that blended over to rifle, and that's weird that you say that, because you can still use a small rifle primer. Just use a Magnum rifle primer. That's weird.
Yeah, basically what it's doing is it's giving a more consistent burn of the powder.
Right.
And you're getting less extreme spread and velocities. So whenever your velocity is more consistent, usually the bullet's going to hit in the same area more often than not. And a lot of bench rest shooters have switched over to the small rifle primers on their brass, and just for that reason, a more consistent velocity.
Hey, Echo, one thing that I think I read this somewhere, because it comes up all the time. Guys, they can find small, like let's say we're going to talk about 9mm. They can find small Magnum pistol primers, and can I use these? And of course you can if you reduce your charge and all that. But from my understanding, when we talk about small primers and Magnum primers, is if we picture like if we're spitting into the powder, the small standard primer is going to just spit into the powder, and it's going to burn from the primer to the bullet, whereas the Magnum is a more pronounced spit where it burns the powder all at once, versus that wicking action that we would see on a small primer, is the way I understand it. So that's why you want to reduce your powder charge or your overall charge to start out, and then work your way back forward, because you're getting a more condensed ignition with a Magnum primer versus a small primer.
Yeah, exactly. You get a more uniform ignition.
Yeah.
And any time that the powder burns more uniformly, you're going to get more consistent pressures from round to round. But those pressures will be elevated. So that's why, and hence the reduction by 10% and work up to your velocity. That's the easiest way to do it. And look for your accuracy nodes, where the bullet, if you are shooting like with a Winchester 308, if you're shooting 42 grains of Varget, and then you go 42.3, and then you go 43.6, and say you get a just slight increase in velocity there. Now I'm just pulling these out of the air, so don't go by any of this. This is just an example of what I'm talking about. You see, as you're slowly graduating in velocity, you'll notice little plateaus where you increase powder, but you get no more velocity. And sometimes you'll even get less velocity. That's a node where that you want to concentrate if you're at the speeds that you want your bullet traveling, to explore that more in depth, with changing maybe your powder instead of a 3/10, go to 2 or 1/10 of a grain, and then maybe play around with bullet seating depth and see what you can get with that, because that is just a good little spot for you to start to give you an idea.
Yeah, I know like working with with pistol, like say 9mm. I've worked up small Magnum primers up, and virtually being at the same load I was with the small standard pistol primers. I'm not saying that's every case, but in my experience, I've worked it up a few times, and the only time I've really noticed a difference in velocity and accuracy is I'm trying to think. 38 Super is a good example. I get better velocity and accuracy going to a small Magnum pistol primer when I'm loading 38 Super versus 9mm. I see virtually no difference. But yeah, I think,
well, the 38 Super is a longer cartridge, so it's benefiting more from that spitting of further distance of spark.
Yep.
You guys think the Magnum charge over a lower powder charge would increase your chances of having a flashover? If that makes any sense?
Are you talking a reverse burn, like a detonation?
Like a flashover, yeah, detonation, sure. I wonder if that would increase the chances of that happening with the Magnum.
Well, you have that possibility with shooting 357 Magnum with H110 when you don't fill the case far enough. You can have the exact same thing happen. What you want to be aware of is how much powder you're putting in the case, how much room there is between the bullet when it seats. And you can do that by making a dummy round with no primer in it, no powder, seat the bullet, check the bullet on your calipers, and then put another bullet of the same brand and weight up next to the case and see how far you're in. And then you can fill a case with a primer with the powder and get an idea of how much room you've got in between your back of your bullet and the top of your powder level. Because when you're holding a handgun, the powder lays flat in the case. And because of centrifugal force, if it's a semi-auto, when it's loading, it shoves that powder to the very front up against the bullet. So you could run into some issues with that. It's just basically, if you're going to be using a Magnum pistol primer and you just want to make sure that you're getting sufficient case fill, because if not, there's really no reason to use it.
All right.
Yeah, the reason I asked that,
We got
like Dave said,
Dang, is
Sure.
that mine?
I totally agree. But I just wanted to create awareness for all the new reloaders, not to just go throwing Magnum primers into a case just because you got them. Make sure the research and how much your powder charge is. I was just bringing up that question as an awareness.
And okay, back the truck up.
Yeah. So look, I would say new reloaders, since we are on like the beginning series, you should always use the correct primer for the load you're working up. So if you cannot find the correct primers, you probably need to reach out to your fellow reloaders, because that's kind of what we do. We scratch each other's back and we look out for each other. But later down the road, we can talk about substituting stuff. But I totally agree that I've even thought about that as a new reloader, because I've had some Magnum primers, but at the moment I've got what I need. So after primers, we would basically, we will be looking forward to like charging our cases. So for new reloaders, that's putting the powder in the cases. How did I do it?
It's time to put in the pixie dust.
Yeah, the magic dust. So me as a new rifle reloader, I hand weigh everything. So that's because I want to keep all my mistakes very minimal. I don't want 50 mistakes, So I do everything with a trickler and a scale, or a scooper, and I just, it's a long, drawn out process. But I know some guys have much success with like the powder drops, and I've seen plenty. I'm sure MCK, Squatch, and Cal and Echo has their preferred powder drops or powder measures. If they wouldn't mind sharing some information about them.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Yeah.
I'll go first. So I've got the Lee Perfect Powder Measure. It's hiding underneath my bench. I use it for my flake powders, unique, red dot, things like that. It does well. Shooter's World does not meter in that. It's too fine. It falls out. And for most of my other powders, I use the Lyman Brassmith, and that thing is deadly consistent. You do a double tap up and a double tap down, and you can just really get some good consistent loads with it. And then right now, this old Lyman 55 is dedicated to Vitavori N30, N340. It meters really well as well. So you just got to play with them, and you got to be consistent in order for the machine to be consistent, on how you run the powder drop. So short and to the point, I guess that's all I got.
What about you, Squatch? You got your preferred powder drop, or?
Well, that's a great question, and there's a there's a bunch of factors involved here. If
Right.
if I'm reloading in bulk and I'm on the Dillon powder measure, it's perfect for that press. I'm kind of like you, Chico. A lot of times, if I'm doing rifle like precision stuff or hunting, I'm going to weigh every charge. And what I like to do is, if you look over here, I got a Uniflow powder measure over here from RCBS, and it's a fantastic powder measure, and it's pretty darn accurate the way it is. But what I'll typically do is I will throw a bulk charge, and especially when I'm doing hunting rounds or precision stuff, I will hand trickle in the last couple tenths to make sure I am dead on every time. I recently got, if you look over here, an electronic powder dispenser, and I'm on the fence as to if it's even quicker than dropping a bulk charge over on a manual powder measure and trickling it in. It is dead on accurate, and I know there's several. This is a Frankfurt Arsenal, and it's probably the lower end, and I got it because I wanted to try it. But and the other things that dropping powder, you're gonna need these guys. This is a kind of a universal funnel here. It'll drop down and fit most of your rifle cartridges, most of your pistol cartridges. It's designed to cover pretty much everything. And if you get further into it and you want to spend some more money on something, and the reason I'm going to show you guys this real quick, I have a powder funnel kit here, and the reason I purchased this one is because these guys are right here in my home state of Ohio. This is a Area 419 powder funnel kit, and I have everything in this kit from 22 caliber all the way up to 338, and then a universal pistol adapter, and it basically screws on like this. Very nice. And what's great about it is you don't get that static buildup that you'll get on some of these plastic ones. But you guys starting out, this is all you need. It'll cover everything that you're wanting to reload. And I use that the same way with a bulk powder drop and then trickle it in through this. And Lee makes a bunch of different size spoons, and I would not be afraid to weigh those out. You'll get their different sizes, and it depends on, they're all based off volume, but you got different types of powder, your ball extruded, flake powders, and things like that. So you'll get a feel for it, and you'll bulk drop scoops onto your scale, and then drop them into your cartridge, and that works just as good. And really, when it comes to powder, you are going to be as good as the scale that you're using, or how well that you use the scale. That's the main thing. So if you got a good scale and you're consistent dropping powder manually with spoons or a powder measure, it's all going to work out the same. You just got to make sure that you're consistent in how you're doing it and really pay attention to what your scale's saying. And I'll jump off that horse right there, but don't be afraid of anything that you can find or afford. Get the best you can afford, and you'll be just fine.
And just like you say, the scoops and a trickler and a good scale, whether it be a balance beam scale or a digital scale, whatever, it doesn't matter. I do recommend getting both because a digital scale is quicker. But if things go sideways and you can't find batteries, what good is that digital scale going to be to you? Mm-hmm. It does take longer doing it that way, but as a beginning reloader, you need it to take longer. You will pay more attention to it, and you're less likely to make some mistakes that could cause some harm. I mean, you can mess up. It's really easy to double charge a case, and you can cram the bullet down in there. But I don't recommend doing it. It turns into one of them Bugs Bunny cartoons when you pull the trigger. Turns your barrel into a banana. But yeah, take your time. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing. Take your time. Double do everything when you're at this point. You've already got a primed case. It's sized. It's trimmed. The case is prepped. You can empty that thing as many times as you want to. Take your time. Do every one of them twice. That practice makes perfect. And you'll develop a rhythm. And you'll develop a process and you'll develop a rhythm, and that'll become your process as you move forward. And that's all I have to say about that.
Brother Echo, what's your suggestions for beginning reloader on scale or powder measures?
Basically, I like to use my deluxe Lee perfect powder measure because I use a lot of stick powder in the rifle cartridges that I do. If I'm doing ball powder, I'll use my Lyman Gen 5 powder dispenser just because it's easier to clean up that fine powder and I don't get it all over the place. But basically, if you get a good scale, the powder dispenser, basically, it doesn't matter really which brand you buy. It's all in your rhythm and your technique to get accurate throws. If you get your technique down, I can throw within 1/10 of a grain on my Lee Deluxe Perfect powder measure when I'm throwing varget. When I tried to use H110, that was a whole other story. I started leaking powder out the sides of it. But for a beginner, you can literally scoop the powder out if you have Lee scoops, which come with their dies, by the way. If you get a set of Lee dies in a certain caliber, that caliber scoop and the shell holder, which actually goes into the press to hold the shell, comes with it, along with load data and how to set up the dies and all that. But the bottom line is, if you're going to throw powder, yes, the powder dispensers, once you figure out a routine and a rhythm, they'll throw very accurately, and that can cut down on time. But I agree with Kyle. Just use a lead dipper in a really good electronic scale or a mechanical scale, depending on your budget and depending on what you prefer. But if you're trying to go a little faster and sometimes a little smoother, it seems that for me anyways, with my limited sight, that I like to use a digital scale. It's just a little quicker.
Gotcha, yeah. And I definitely agree with what Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. If you want to put that up again, I'll try it again. My computer's being slow.
Sure.
What Kyle's showing is the lead dippers, and probably like many of you, I own that exact set. But like Echo was saying, some of the Lee die sets come with it, and to my knowledge, it's only the 4 die sets. It comes with the 4 die sets come with the dipper and the shell holder.
And the shell holder, yeah. But
right.
the cool thing about this kit from Lee, it's got every dipper that they make, but it also comes with this little slide chart that's got dang near all of your rifle powders on one side. There's a window right here where you can see the powder name and then your charge weight, and it'll tell you which dipper to use. And let me see it. Let's see. See how you got, what is that, accurate something? 41, 48 or something. And you can pull it out. Oh, God, it's backwards. Yes. Then you come down here, and that'll be your rifle powders, and you turn it around. Oh, actually, you got to take this out and turn it around. But it's got all kinds of powders and scoop sizes. It'll give you the approximate weight of each powder and scoop. So you got your different weight scoops on this chart right. God, this chart right here, and it'll get you really close. I wouldn't say do not use a powder measure. I would not say that. I'll never say that. But it'll get you really close to what you're looking for. and the whole kit's like $40, I think.
Yeah, not bad. And I haven't forgot you guys out there in the side chat. I'm gonna do it on the top of the hour. But like Reloader 762 said, the pace setter die rifle sets come with the dipper and the shell holder. So I know definitely all the pistol sets, the 4-die sets come with the scooper and the shell holder. But one thing I want to tell y'all, if you're late to the party, and I'm talking about the scale party, if you did not happen to get that awesome scale that almost everyone has, the Wahoo scale that a lot of us or a lot of reloaders have. I don't own that scale, unfortunately. And I snoozed on that one. So that is a very good scale. A lot of big people, a lot of successful reloaders use that scale and talk plenty positive about it. Yeah, we cannot find that same scale anywhere on the internet. So
yeah, they've changed it. They've discontinued that model, I guess, because it works so good. They
Correct.
came out with a different model that's more expensive.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, it's not as good. Chico, I've got here. My brother Chico turned me on to this one off of Amazon. It was a jewelry scale or something. I'm about to say, am I showing the English version? Chico found this on a killer deal, and I went ahead and scooped one up, and I like it because it goes to the hundredths of a grain,
right,
which can be pretty damn aggravating if you're really trying. You know, it may be a little too accurate, but there's no such thing as that.
And then I'll say one thing about scales. I'll tell you, I'll have to be honest with y'all. I recently, within the last 6 months, got a mechanical scale. Yep. As a new reloader, I only own a digital scale. And I end up getting like what Mark is showing right there, a mechanical scale. Because guess what? Electronics die over time.
And not the Lee safety scale.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I actually got a RCBS 505 scale.
No, I'm telling everybody on the side chat, not the Lee safety scale.
Right. That scale right there, that Squatch is showing up, that's what I end up getting. I like it. But I don't do any pistol on it, only rifle.
It's a good scale for the money. It really is.
It is, yeah.
I ended up getting a Hornady one because I found it on a hell of a deal.
Yeah, so I know we've talked about, you know, if I don't know if y'all see my recent video, I was like an intro to reloading. Sometimes reloading can be as expensive or sort of as cheap as you want to make it. Right now, as a lot of you guys know, a lot of stuff has spiked in price, and that's just because of the climate. So if you on the edge about reloading or you know on the edge about getting certain products, get them sooner than later. Because I've seen stuff. I get alerts every day about price changes, about stuff I have in my carts. And I mean, like my carts on Midway, Brownells, any other place that sells stuff, put it in your cart. If the price changes, I'll get alert, whether it goes positive or negative. So I've seen stuff jump up $10 for a manual. So yeah, I'm almost at the top of the hour. Let me go ahead real quick because I don't want anybody to think I left them out. It's all 38 of y'all. I hope I'm not roboting, but I did notice I was having some issues. Then again, my son does have the tablet, so that's how that goes sometimes.
Feel you.
Let me see. I'm gonna scroll to the top, to the very top, and that's it. That was only 10 minutes ago. So I got 10 Man, the Shaggy Rifleman. Never seen you here, but thanks for joining us. Watch Reloaders on the panel with us. PCC Kid. We got Rebels out there. Thorzax, Bald and Curious, Coach Brothers Firearms. Thanks for joining us, sir. Uncle John, Reloader 762. We got Fuzz T4 8 out there cutting up. Georgia Boy 44, James Pollard, Signal Soldier 31, Single Shot, Matthew Zerby. He said, Squash, I made it. Thanks for joining us, Matthew. Jerry 1911, Eagle Eye Shooting from the Eagles Nest, Andre D'Angelo, Hidden Steel CA, William C. Chaplin, thank you for joining us. He says, which end of the scoop is the dipper on? William, thanks for joining us, brother. Did I see Charles Irby out there? MCK's on the panel with us. Willie Bullet, man, thanks for joining us, brother. Big Al. And I think that's all for the moment I see. So thanks for joining us. Jason Stewart, too. Thanks for joining us, brother. So, you know, like I was saying, it can be as expensive or sort of as cheap as you want to make it. But just look for the stuff. If you can find used components and used equipment.
I don't know about used components there. That's kind of an odd statement.
Brass.
How much you got for used primers? What about you got over there?
I've bought secondhand bullets, you know, and I've used, and every piece of brass I pick up is used. So if you leave it, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Y'all know that. So and I'll tell you what, another thing I've purchased through down here in the Dirty South, we have a website. If any of you guys in Georgia, I don't know any other states, it's called Outdoor Trader. They sell a lot of Second Amendment stuff, reloading stuff, whatever. I met this guy, and he ended up trying out. He was doing load development. He was trying out some powders. Super cool guy. Shoots PCC, right? Ain't that what they say? PRC, the long rifle stuff. He does that, and he ended up selling me some powder real cheap, and he only loaded like probably 20 rounds out of it. That rifle powder. I think it was like IMR 40 something. It was cheap. I bought it. He was a nice guy, you know. So you guys can look on, you know, certain places like that if your state or your municipality, whatever you're close to, probably for those primers and stuff like that that you can't find. You may pay a little more for them, but sometimes if you need them, you need them. So let's see. The Crazy Scotsman. I'm sorry, I can't forget him. My brother's already out there. AR Gun 1776. See, now they're popping up. Yeah, Carter's definitely bandwidthing me. So I would say after the powder, before the powder, you should always have that bullet choice. I think that's just my thinking. But normally after the powder, you're gonna go to some kind of bullet seeding operation, and I am not the one to be talking about that, but I can, you know, let these gentlemen here give you their suggestions about it. Because, like I said, I don't, you know, if I don't know something, I'm not gonna say I know, and that's how I was raised. So I wouldn't want to give any information that is inaccurate or not as good as I think my other brothers could offer. So
can I talk on bullet choice?
Yeah, bullet choice or
okay.
Seeding, whatever you want to go.
Now you got the cage charge and all that. Now what are you going to put in it? If you're thinking about reloading, you've obviously been shooting. What is your favorite bullet for the caliber that you're shooting? You want to try to mimic that load because that's obviously your favorite for a reason, or you want to try something new. That's fine. I would recommend starting out with trying to mimic that factory load as far as a jacketed bullet goes. And if you're thinking about or wanting to get into casting your own bullets, but don't know which bullet mold that you want to buy, get with us. Between everybody on the panel and Jamie and Scotsman and all that, we've probably got the bullet mold that you're looking at. And we can send you a sack full of, a Ziploc bag full of bullets for you to try, see if you like them. None of us have a problem doing that. We've done it for a lot of people. So just stay in touch with everybody and communicate, because that's what all this is about. And that's all I have to say about bullet choice.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll touch on that one thing. I can give you just a little bit of look. So normally, if we're talking about new reloaders, bullet choice is going to be something that they're already shooting a factory load or similar to it, right? So if they're shooting 100 and I don't know 60 grain, whatever, they're probably going to go look for something very similar. As I did when I first started loading 9mm, I was like, I like these 124s, 115s are everywhere, but my gun likes 124. 9mm project. So that's what I bought first, like my very first projectile. So, you know, as new guys, we don't kind of veer off until we jump down those other rabbit holes, and it gets deep real quick. So, so what do you guys think about seeding bullets? You know, I know that this can be deep too, but what's your preferred method or suggestions for seeding bullets? And then again, we're talking about new reloaders, probably with no kind of special rifles, just your standard semi-spec chambers. Any suggestions? Anybody, and y'all can take it whenever y'all want.
I'll jump in if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, since we're talking about, I'm going to jump on the bullet bandwagon real quick. And for a new reloader, there's tons of aftermarket bullets or bulk bullet manufacturers out there. And when you go to your LGS or a big box store type outdoor store, you're going to find a plethora of different bullets. And what I would suggest is for the new reloader, I'm just, for example, get like Nosler or Hornady or whoever, the bullets that you buy. This book from Nosler has all of their bullets in there. So if you buy a pack of 124 grain 9mm Nosler bullets, all their load data is right here, and it's all based off, SAMI specs, universal chambers, and things like that. You can get pretty darn close to factory ammunition using this book and their bullets. But most of us, after we buy our first batch of projectiles and we've got a load that we've taken out of published load data, we end up, down the rabbit hole trying to go cheaper, finding different bullets, start casting. And that's where you really got to start having multiple reference materials so you can, because a lot of that stuff's not going to be in these books, but a good starting point is a bullet manufacturer's load manual, and use their bullets and their loads, and that'll generally keep you pretty safe. When we talk about bullet seeding, it's pretty self-explanatory. Here's a typical a seeding die here. This one is for 223. Or I'm sorry, this is not a seeding die, but you're gonna have a seeding stem in the die, and let me just grab this turret here. You're gonna have a seeding die like this one, and inside of that seeding die is gonna be a seeding stem. And this one's for rifle, so it's gonna match pretty close to the ogive of the bullet or the bullet shape. When we're talking about ogive, we're really talking, to use layman's terms, the shape of the bullet. And a lot of your other, like this is a seeding stem out of a Dillon die. And one thing to always keep in mind, your seeding profile. I'm going to drop this out here. In this seeding stem, it's a dual seeding stem, one for your round nose and then like a truncated cone. So keep in mind, if you're buying a Dillon die, or most of your dies are going to have maybe one or two different styles of seeding stem in there, and that's all based off bullet profile. But as far as seeding, it's really trial and error. As you adjust this die, you're going to start engaging the bullet into the cartridge. So it's going to be small adjustments, measuring, making an adjustment, measuring until you get the overall length that you're looking for, that you're taking out of your reference material or your load manual. But seeding the bullet's not overly complicated. It's just a tedious process to get that overall length that you're looking for from your published load data. And I'll turn it over to whoever else.
Hey, Sharenda, thanks for joining us.
I think we left out the flaring part of it. Did we talk about case flaring?
In rifle, I don't do so much case flaring, but in pistol, yeah, you would do a.
Well, right. Yeah, and like on a Dillon, that's accomplished at the powder measure stage.
Yeah.
You got to play with that a little bit and get it set. Then you set your powder charge. But yeah, on a pistol, you got to kind of bell the case just a little bit so it'll accept the bullet easier. I'm sorry. I'll go back to sleep.
If you guys
that makes sense though. Yeah, some people do it. Sorry, go
Hey,
ahead, Swatch.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Echo. A couple, was it 2 live streams ago that we talked about flaring a bit when we were sizing, or and we were talking about the 12 thousandths over nominal diameter is kind of what we were shooting for, and I think you were loading 357 maximum. I think he's froze up on us, Chico.
Oh yeah, he did froze. So I think some parts of the country are having looking at the side chat, some people had a bad storm or something like that with the internet. So y'all forgive us or bear with us. Surrender, how you doing? Oh, she's off mute now, but I think the microphone is not working.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, well, I got you, Echo, and I got Mark back, and Surrender still no audio.
Technical tonight.
It is. That happens.
Swatch, what were you saying right before I got kicked?
The question come up about case flare, and I kind of referenced the guys back to the live stream a few weeks ago when you were loading 357 maximum, I think, and we got into case flare a little bit.
Yeah. Basically, when I do flaring of pistol cartridges, usually I do 10 thousandths for a full metal jacket bullet. But if I'm doing lead, I like to go 12. Sometimes it depends on the actual bullet itself. If I do 10 thousandths and I need to bump it, flare it just a little bit more, I do it so that the bullet will sit on top of there uniformly, so I don't have an issue when I try to seat it.
And then we just kind of jumped into bullet seating and what our preferred methodology was behind that.
Well, usually with handguns, they'll tell you the seating depth they like in semi-autos. Usually if you get a bullet a little too, the overall cartridge length a little too long, they tend to nosedive right into the feed ramp or never even make it completely out of the magazine. And usually if you get them too short, they tend to stovepipe and stick straight up instead of going into the chamber. Rifle rounds are a little different. Usually on a semi-automatic, you're dealing with a magazine of some sort, where you can only load the bullets so long in the cartridge because you're restricted by magazine overall length. Bolt guns seem to be a little different, especially if you're single shooting the gun. You can really reach the bullet out, and usually in rifle ammunition, when you're doing precision type stuff, the closer you get to the bullet to the lands and grooves, the more accurate the bullet will be. But that's not always so. I've had bullets that have had 60 thousandths of an inch jump that shot better than when I loaded them 10 thousandths off the lands. And another thing you got to worry about is the closer you get that bullet to your lands, the higher the pressure is going to be, because the less freeboard you have in the chamber. You're basically taking that up with the bullet.
All good stuff. All good stuff.
Yeah, so normally, let's just say I have to be honest with y'all. I don't measure anything when I flare anything. I'll take my projectile, and if it fits or if it's too tight, I'll flare it a little bit more. So normally on like a progressive or even on a single stage, you I kind of do all that. I don't want to say I do it in steps, but I I set my flare almost before, if that makes sense. Because when I get the load and I want to, and it doesn't matter if I'm on a single stage or a progressive. With the Dylan, as a lot of you know, it does the flaring on like you said, the powder drop. So I have to make sure that's set up. Otherwise, it makes a mess real quick. So I kind of do it. It's not difficult to explain, but the best advice I'd say, you're gonna have to get in there and play with it, or play with your seating depths and your flaring in order to overcome. Everyone here in the side chat and on the panel can give you the best advice, but the absolute best advice that overall anyone else. But you're never gonna get until you actually do the work. And I know that's kind of, some people may say that's harsh, and that's kind of just, that's how most people learn. You learn from your failures. Look at all those cases that Kyle showed the other day, or Squat showed some that look like a reverse horn. So you're gonna learn from your failures, and after a while, you're gonna probably keep those little reminders up there to remind you, hey, don't do this like this anymore. So so what's that say when they watch Squats like an infomercial?
It was the second part of that was savage right there.
So yeah, but with the flares, I don't measure the flares, and that's just because I have before, but I seem like for me, because normally I load more anything. I haven't had as much experience with rifle reloadings as much as like the Echo or Squatch or Mark or even Kyle. Probably even Sharinda has more rifle reloading experience than me. Sharinda loads 243. So, Sharinda.
Yes.
How do you determine your?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How do you determine your let's say your flaring or your seating depth of your 243 along with the load data that you already have?
Well, for starters, I got a bolt action, and when I first started, I was using somebody else's equipment. So I had, and I never know if I'm pronouncing this correctly because nobody I've asked has ever called it the same thing twice. An ogive, and then I also measure it from width to top, and then I have my Dylan. I have a separate charger. And excuse me, I have a separate charging unit where I have everything set up where I just take it off, and I haven't changed it since. So I'm probably gonna need to go through this whole process again because it's been months since I've made any adjustments to my 243 setup.
Right. Yeah. And it's all. I kind of knew you were gonna say that, and just like I see some stuff in the side chat that Rebel, he basically responded, and I believe that's to my question. He said it all depends on the bullet chamber, lots of stuff. So there is no one size solution. Regardless, I know we've talked about two guns built at the same manufacturer. The chambers and the throats could be totally different. It depends on who's working that day. It depends on the wear on the tools and stuff like that. So you eventually gonna become one with your gun, so to speak, and you will learn your tools as much as you will your reloading item. Good question out there from Matthew. He says 223 reloading question. New to rifle reloading. Have some once fired 5.56 Lake City brass. What length would you suggest? Now, Matthew, I'm gonna tell you, everyone on the panel, loads of information, but in the side chat, there's lots of information also. But does anyone want to take that on the panel?
Is he trimming?
I was just typing it, and then you said that, so I erased it. Depends on the projectile shape, the projectile weight. Check your loading manuals. That'll give you a great starting point. See how that works in your rifle, which will also give you the trim to length and all that. Look at published load data. Find your bullet in a load manual and go from there. You can make a few adjustments, either shorter or longer, based on your rifle. But start with AR guns is giving you the trim to length, but you need to consult published loading manuals. So,
Do any of you guys on the panel load 223 besides Squatch?
oh yeah,
Yep.
I do as well.
Yeah,
I got a single shot I load for.
223 is one of those cartridges that, as far as rifle goes, it's probably the most cumbersome in my opinion, because you're dealing with a lot of variables. Generally, when we're loading 223, we're picking up range brass, so we got multiple head stamps, case width as far as the material thicknesses. You've got crimps to deal with. You know, a lot of guys, you're picking up brass for multiple guns with different chambers, so you're dealing with head spacing and things like that. But all that aside, it's probably the funnest round to shoot, and it's totally not cumbersome as far as reloading it. You just got to know the steps that you need to do and be consistent, and getting that once fired brass all processed the same, one time. Makes a world of difference when you're reloading your own shot 223, as long as you've processed it all the same, sized it the same, and trimmed it the same, and then after that it's a cakewalk.
I'll back you up on that, Squatch. When you're doing 223, separate your brass. Even for plinking, AR, I go ahead and use a small base die, use the same brass, trim it all down, and the same bullets, and just that's my plinking ammo. But over on the single shot side of things, I'll go ahead and get a little more detailed with it and work my way up. And I haven't been into that for a while, so take your time with it. And
that's what's funny about that round. It's the funnest to shoot, but it's got the most variables in the brass and reloading practices. I mean, it can be extremely aggravating. I've been some mad. I just throw everything down on the table and walk away. You just got to step away for a minute, because I mean, you go through all this time and this, that, and the other, and you get 2 rounds that shoot great, then you get 6 flyers, and then you go back and you remeasure this and set this up and do all this, then you go out and shoot it again, and you just want to grab your press and throw it in the lake. I've been that upset with it before, but it's finicky, but it is fun.
Now, outside of Starline brass, is there any other particular manufacturer brass that you guys like using when you don't get a hold of Starline?
I use it. I use quite a bit of it.
If you can afford it,
yeah.
Lapua is fantastic rifle brass. It's expensive. Nosler is fantastic rifle brass. It's expensive. Most of the time, what you're going to find online and stuff is Lake City and the like, which is generally military surplus that somebody's son picked up at the range and at the military base and put it in a 55-gallon barrel. When you get a 55-gallon barrel, they take it home and clean it and ship it out. But Lapua and Nosler I've had the best results with and the most case life out of, but by God, it's expensive when you buy it. But you can get up to 10 pretty hot 308 loads out of them.
Yeah, Kyle, 308's another one too. I mean, you get into some of that mill surplus brass in 308, and you're dealing with the same problems as 223. But if I was like for precision rifle, you're better off getting new brass, in my opinion. Or if you've got some factory rounds that you've shot and you've got you understand, those come out of your gun and you can keep them consistent, you're going to get a lot of brass life out of it. But for as far as 223, I'm probably not as diligent in 3 picking it up as again, because I use it a lot in 3 gun, and a lot of times they don't let you pick it up. But if you process it all right the first time, you can get many firings out of just range pickup 223 brass.
They don't let you pick it up because somebody else is coming behind you and picking it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
a
right.
lot of them resell it.
Yep.
So yeah,
moving on.
I have supper
go ahead,
calling.
Scott. Sorry about that. So I think I was roboting, so I cut my camera off to hopefully stop that. So sorry, guys. All good information. So Sharendo, yeah, I'm kind of new on that caliber. I have yet to damage a case, but I'm sure it's coming. So
I've had luck with all of mine so far. I haven't had to do a whole lot of major adjustments to it, but like I said, I think I got a second set of dies. I think I'm gonna twiddle around with it to make sure that I can manually adjust the flare and all that again. Because like I said, once I got it set, I ain't touched it in a couple of years.
So yeah, I'll tell people. So like, so for the long, okay, I end up getting both sets of my Dylan dies, 223 and 308, exact same time. First thing I said I'm gonna reload 223, and so many people said nope, do 308. I didn't even own a 308, right? But I had like 500 pieces of prime 308 brass and some dies and 223 dies, but I had ammo for 223. So that's what kind of got me into rifle reloading. And I never really planned on doing 223, but I could always get it cheaper than I can reload it for. That has since changed. I was looking today, it was like 50, 60 cents per round. So I've been kind of pushed that way, sort of. I mean, I think any skill or any cartridge that you can learn how to reload is something that's going to be helpful maybe in the future, right? But so that's what kind of got me that way. But like I said, playing around with it these last few weeks, it is like Squat said, it's a lot cumbersome compared to 308. In my opinion, it's a little 308 seemed a little less harsh on my mental a little bit. So, but I'm learning about different stuff with different calibers. So new guys, do not fret. It's gonna happen. You're gonna that's reason why. I hear Chronos in the side. That's the reason why we have this community. With people on the panel in the side chat, keep in mind that there's other communities that some guys that probably just specialize in a particular caliber that you are planning on reloading and stuff like that. So let's see. James Paul said Chico knows what every bullet and piece of brass costs. I was looking today, people be calling me looking for ammo, man. Look, so some of my friends know I'm a reloader, just like probably most of you guys, and I don't reload for them. It's too much liability, I think. I did tell one of my buddies, I said, look, you can go buy this, and come over here and I'll show you how to reload. I'll let you do it yourself on my press. And he's like, no, man, just make me like 1,000. I'm like, no. I know you can buy 1,000 though, cheaper than dirt. So but I was trying to get him, because he shoots a lot too. I was trying to get him to be more self-sufficient, so to speak. But so yeah. So new guys, don't fret. Make sure y'all get those manuals, because the manuals is going to be a lot of your meat and potatoes about stuff. It's going to be something you always reference to, and I said that on a recent video of mine. When it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to bother Jamie, because I know he's he sleep, I pull out my manuals and do my own research. So, but never be afraid to reach out to any one of us. Y'all can email us, send a message through any other social networks, Instagram, well, our emails, and yeah. So Thor's that said, same with rifle. What kind of accuracy do you need for the shooting you do? Right. That's all gonna matter. I believe he's talking about, what are you reloading for? So, Echo, you got anything you want to add, man? Because I know you are full of knowledge and experience. You got any for like the new guys? It's like getting in a rifle or pistol. It doesn't matter. I think rifle or pistol, but mainly we were talking about rifle.
Yeah, I started with rifle because it was the most expensive ammunition. I started with 458 SOCOM and kind of worked my way down to pistol. So I kind of did it the opposite way that most people did, because I figured if I could do rifle ammunition, I shouldn't have a problem doing pistol ammunition. So I tackled the hardest one first, and then I kind of got myself into precision loading rifle ammunition and trying to keep making it better and better and improving upon my technique. And it's just like anything else. Once you do it with repetition, probably about the 5th or 6,000th time you pull a handle on a press, you're going to realize things are going to start to work a lot easier for you. You're going to start to be able to go through the steps without second guessing yourself as much. And basically, it's just an experience thing, just like anything else. Nobody jumped in a car and was driving around the interstate. At least I didn't. I started in a parking lot. Everybody needs to start at their own pace that they feel comfortable with. Don't let somebody get you moving faster than you want to. If you don't understand something, just ask. If you still don't, ask somebody else. Maybe they can explain it to you in a way that you can understand better. But, definitely consult your load data books. That's where you're going to learn a lot. You can read. There's always, in every reloading book, they've always got a couple pre-chapters on reloading. Go ahead and skim through there. Read a few paragraphs out of each one. If something you don't understand, read more on it. Look at a different book or ask someone.
Yeah, that's all definitely good at information advice. Look like let me do some more shout outs because West Covina Dodge jumped in. Eagle Eyes here. Larry Palmer, I ain't seen you in a minute, but thanks for joining us, brother. Andy 79 Z28. Jag One's out there. West Covina's buying up all the magazines in California or somewhere alike. And I don't blame you at all. So it looked like Matthew's questions is getting answered. So I definitely appreciate that. Reloader 762 said he used to load 223 back when he had a Mini 14 years ago. And all his rifles are 30 caliber now. Jerry 1911's out there. Interesting. Larry Palmer said 458 SOCOM was the most difficult for him reloading. Yeah, I couldn't even know where to start with that. So
Has he gotten it down?
Larry Palmer, he said he had to get the case gauge.
Yeah, the best case gauge to get is the one made by Tromex. Call up and tell him Echo sent you and he want one of his gauges. It's a skeletonized gauge that he cuts out of the actual chamber of one of his barrels. He cuts off the chamber end and it's opened up so you can see if it's an ogive that's coming in contact with the rifling, if you haven't bumped the shoulder back enough, or if you haven't crimped it enough and your mouth or your case is catching. It's a really good gauge. It's stainless steel and they run around $60, $65.
And who sells that, Echo?
Tromix, Tromix. He is the original designer of the 458 SOCOM rifle. There was another fella, I can't remember his name, but he designed the cartridge. And Tony over at Tromix designed the AR-15 to fire the cartridge.
Okay, he says he has the Tromic case gauge now. Tromic.
Yeah, that's the one you want.
So let's see. After we've done most of that, seated bullets, right? I think you know what? This one gets everybody. There's a lot of controversy. Let me see. We still got about 30 minutes. Crimp, to crimp or to not crimp. I've heard arguments about this stuff, and I've done it both ways. But me being a new guy, maybe because of pistol and lever guns, I crimp even if it's ever so slightly. But that is me. Let's see what Kyle has to say about that if he's awoke. No, he's asleep.
He was doing his dinner.
Oh, that's what it is. MCK, what about you? Do you crimp or do you? And I know it's going to depend on the caliber. It's going to probably depend on several factors.
Yeah, my rim cartridges, 44 mag, 38 special, 357, all get crimps. I'm in a medium crimp right now. Haven't had a reason to go maximum crimp or a lighter one. 30-06 doesn't get a crimp. It's a bolt action. I just reverse the flare if I need the flare, very much. Anything with an AR platform, I go ahead and crimp just for safety reasons and setback. 9mm obviously gets a mild crimp, to reverse the flare. Same with 45 ACP. And I just recently switched from a one-step process with 9mm to a two-step process using the factory crimp die for the 9mm. And I was getting anywhere from 2 to 3 mistakes out of 50 rounds. Now I get no mistakes. They all plunk test just fine. And I just recently acquired a 45 ACP RCBS factory crimper, so it's doing the same job as the Lee. So in a nutshell, that's what I do with my crimps.
Cool. Surrender.
I don't necessarily consider it a crimp. It's more of just a little hug on mine. I mean, you can barely see it because I shoot bolt action too. But
so it's just a little.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got an echo on
That's
here.
cool.
And not you echo, but a real echo in the headset. Yeah, I don't have I just have just barely a little bit of squeeze on mine.
Now, so what about your pistol rounds?
My pistol rounds have crimp, but yeah, I'm mainly shooting 9mm. I've loaded a few 45. They have a slight little crimp on it, but my 9s they have crimps.
Yeah. See, I know, and I've heard it both ways. It's going to depend on the caliber and the gun, I believe. I'm not always right, but I'm not always wrong. But I think it's preference for some stuff. Some stuff is, but I'm curious what Squat's going to say for his for like his 3-gun stuff. And I kind of know. I think I do.
Yeah, so if we're going to talk, we're talking about 223. A lot. I went cheap when I started doing 223. I picked up, these are just steel RCBS dies, 2 die set. It comes with a full-length seating die and a combo seat and crimp die. And I have tried working with that combo seat crimp die, and it's frustrating. And if your brass isn't all the same length, it causes some problems. So I actually hate the combo seat and crimp die, and I experimented a little bit with my Dillons, doing a combo seat and crimp die to try to rig up a bullet feeder, but I got completely away from it. I had the same issues, MCK, that you experienced, especially on 9mm. When you're picking up range brass, there's length differences in the brass, and you're going to fight yourself. So what I'll typically do if I can't find, or if I don't have a Lee factory hug die, Sharenda, what I'll do is, she didn't laugh at that. I got these die sets I picked up at a gun show. They were brand new, these RCBS dies, and so I picked up two die sets so I can have a spare set of dies. But what I did is I took the seating stem out and just used the crimp feature of the combo seat die. So if you guys are loading on a single stage press, what I would suggest is backing out that seat or that crimp feature, dial in your seating stem so that you can just put your bullet in and then start over and then adjust and do your crimp. But when it comes to auto loading stuff, 9mm, 45, 10mm, 40 cal, I put a crimp on there. It's a taper crimp. Anything like revolver wise, it's got a cantilever and it calls for a taper crimp, or I'm sorry, a roll crimp. I'll do that. But as far as 223, I have one bolt gun that I load for, and I don't crimp that particular 223 when I do load for it. But in an AR where you've got quite a bit of movement going on in that action, getting a crimp on there to just keep that overall length and that bullet set in place, I think it is the way to go. And a lot of guys don't do it, but sometimes I'm a little OCD, and maybe that's a bad and a good thing. But I like to crimp, especially in an auto-loading rifle and auto-loading pistol. I'm always going to crimp.
I'm sorry, Chico. I was choking down dinner. What's up? Ears, you're muted.
And there I go talking about y'all. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, Cal, I was wondering, which I know most people. So I know what you do for pistol, pretty much. But what do you? No, let's say for a new reloader. What's your suggestion on crimping? I know it's going to depend on the caliber. So let's say 223.
223. I use actually my 223 is a Dillon crimp die, which is essentially the same setup as a Lee factory crimp die. It's got the 4 collets in there, and if you're shooting it in a semi-automatic platform, you want to put at least some crimp on there to keep your bullet from jumping around. Don't ask me how I learned that, but yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to be rude and eat on video and all that. So I went inside and choked down some groceries. But yeah, 223. I use it's like a 4 collet crimp die from Dillon, but it came in the die set. Lee, I think, offers the same thing. Yeah, they call it a factory crimp die, I think.
Yeah.
It works great. I don't mash the heck out of it. Once I can see a noticeable difference in the case neck, I'm done. Trim your brass to the same length, and that way you'll get a good crimp every time. And I run the ram up, look at the case. Run the ram up, look at the case, tighten it down, run the ram up, look at the case. As soon as I can see it start to make a crimp, I stop. Because I don't want it. I don't want to crimp so hard that it'll create a pressure problem or anything. But just as soon as I can see it, as soon as I can see a crimp has happened, I stop.
What about you, Echo?
Well, I don't crimp any bolt action rifle rounds. I load for precision, and crimping, I've noticed, will cause a flyer every now and then. But for auto loaders, especially the Eugene Stoner AR platform, that bolt carrier group's moving at 40 feet per second under normal operating speeds. That's if you're not overgassed, which a lot of today's rifles have a bigger gas port in the barrel so that you can shoot crappier ammunition and the gun will still function. basically I put a medium to medium heavy crimp with a Lee factory crimp die on every 223 or anything I'm firing out of a semi-automatic, but especially the 223. The cartridge case is very small. So you're getting at even a lighter load, 90% case fill with a 55 grain bullet with a stick powder, which is the original powder intended to be fired in the AR-15 platform, was stick. And because it was a single base powder and it wasn't as temperature sensitive and wouldn't cause the cyclic rate of the weapon system to exceed 900 rounds per minute. Also, you've got to notice that the casing is smaller, so you've got more of a fill, like I said. If you don't crimp that and you let that bolt slam home on that round into the chamber, and it goes into the chamber, that mass amount of powder creates inertia and starts pushing on the back of that bullet. And will literally, every time you chamber that round, it will push that bullet further and further out, closer to the lands and grooves. Also, the 223, when you're loading in service rifle charges for like 5.56, pushing 60,000 PSI, you are going to have bullets move forward in your casings while they're in the magazine. And it may not exit because of the length of the bullet and the amount of room you have in the magazine. But that bullet, when it comes up, is going to hang up in the magazine, or it's going to nosedive right into the M4 feed ramps or into the upper receiver where the barrel extension is, and it's going to jam every single time. So when I do 223 for a Mini 14 or a AR-15, I crimp. When I do 308 or 6.5 for an AR-10 or an LR-308 platform, I crimp. I don't with bolt guns, but with auto loading guns, you've got to. A lot of people will say you don't have to, but they've never experienced a serious problem. And when you start loading max charges, you definitely don't want that bullet getting jammed back, nor do you want it coming forward into the lands and grooves either.
Gotcha. Yeah. You know what? Just to not to piggyback off, somebody asked a nice question. West Covina Dodge. Pat has great questions, and I think he's helping me out. So I appreciate it, Pat. I'm about to send you a magazine or something. So, he says the cantaloupe. Oh wait, it moved that quick. Top, middle, or bottom of the cantaloupe. Let's go reverse, just like we did. Echo, what do you suggest for providing that crimp? Where at on the bullet? The top, the middle, or the bottom?
I like to be in the top 90%. That way you're not close to the end of it, where if you crimp it, it pulls that bullet down further. If you leave yourself about 10% of the total cantilever and crimp there, it's going to give you enough bearing surface inside your neck to grab the bullet, and you're not going to have a problem with bullet set back just from crimping it.
Gotcha. Kyle, what do you suggest? I mean, or what's your preferred method? Top, middle, or bottom?
I generally go towards the top. I don't go to the bottom.
Okay.
I agree with Echo.
Brenda?
She says she'll be right back.
Oh, sorry. Squats. What's your preferred placement of that crimp on the cantilever?
I'm kind of in the same boat with Echo and Kyle. I like to go between mid and the top. So I'm going to stay in the top 75% of the cantilevers where I typically try to land that crimp.
Cool. So the reason why I left the last one for Mark, because I know he's got a special tool that he can show us. And
I also go in the upper. Sorry, go ahead, Chico.
No, I just want to blow you up. That's all.
Got you. I also go in the upper half of the cantilever. Now, talking about the cannula, it's so wide. You can see how wide it is. And a lot of the lead collet dies, when you see the crimp happen, they're just about that size. So when you go to the upper half, you're getting full benefit from the crimp. I recently acquired a tool that I can, for instance, take this 110 grain M1 Garand bullet and put a cannula anywhere I want on it to crimp for my AR platform. It's a neat little deal here where you would place the bullet in there. It's going to be hard to demonstrate, but it lays in there and it's got a depth setting on it. Then you flip that back over and it like knurls the edge, and then you spin it. I'm not going to be able to do it without holding it real tight, but just allows me to put that cannula anywhere I want to once I find a good seating depth. So I'm not worried about setback in my 300 black pistol. So those are available. They're around $100, but for the guy that's going to find bullets that doesn't have a cannula, you have options. And it's a pretty neat tool. So
yeah, I remember when I seen your video, I was like, my mind started ticking. I was like, I think I can make something like that. And then
right, and
like,
you're a mechanic, so yeah, for the gearheads and the mechanics, it's just another tool we could put in our box to make our custom ammo.
Right, yeah. But then, I was like, you know what, I'll buy one. And you was like, it's $100. I was like, no, I won't. I was like, no, I won't.
Hey,
but I think it's pretty slick. So like, because I do have some bullets don't have a cannula that I would like to possibly put some for like 357 or 38 special or something like that. But
this thing will fit in a flat rate box.
I'll let you know, man. I appreciate it, man. Hey, so what is the brand of that? Do you know?
Oh boy, I'd have to look it up again, sir. This is
no problem. You don't have to. I'm sure it's the maker of it, right?
Yeah. CH is the maker's mark on it. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Okay.
It's got a big C and a H, and there's different versions of this deal. But I'm glad to have it in my toolbox.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, little squatch, if I can say that.
She had to jump in. I'm sorry. Every week, you know how it is.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, look, it look like we got some new people come out there. NYC Reloader, thanks for joining us. 6-shooter text, and I'm sure you've already been here. Sorry I missed you if I did earlier, sir. JCM 45, Charles Irby. Always a pleasure to have him. There was some controversy in the side chat about the crimping. And like I said, it's all personal preference and what works for you. Just like I'll say this a lot, I probably oversay it. What your mileage may vary. What works for you may not work for me, and you may not. It's just that's how it is. That's the nature of the beast. Your perception of my crimp could be totally different than and vice versa. So as long as you guys being safe and ladies being safe and doing it effectively, but I can tell you something. If you say you shoot your chrono and it ain't on camera, it didn't happen. Okay, that's all I can say about that. If it ain't on camera, it didn't happen. I'm not from the show me state, but just show me.
Man, okay. I'm gonna make sure I have the camera set up when I get mine out there.
You gotta have the camera running just in case you take it out. And look, man, you know what? You guys know I don't always host and stuff like that, but so I didn't want to ignore anyone. So Jamie had a previous deal that he had to do, so that's why I'm hosting tonight. So I appreciate y'all putting up with me and my buffering internet. Sometimes it's been going in and out, so and I haven't had the best luck. So I really appreciate my brothers and my sisters jumping on, even all the feedback in the side chat. I hope the new people. Matthew came over from Squat, and there was somebody else I seen earlier came over. I hope they either taken away something or at least maybe found a new live stream to come to at least once or twice. So but I like to say, I can't speak for the whole community, but I can. everybody, since I've been reloading, everybody's been real helpful. Constructive criticism is good in all aspects. You know what I mean? It makes us better and it makes us try different things. So I haven't seen nothing but positive feedback throughout members in our community. And if y'all do decide to come back to new people who are new reloaders, you'll definitely get that help and support from people like us on this live stream. The Reloading podcast, which Sharinda is a member on also. It airs on Tuesdays. And there's plenty of other live streams that focus on a lot of other stuff. 76 High Boy, you guys got to think we got the Reloaders Network, Cast Bullet Forums, we got Discord. So we're all one community, and we're all here to help each other regardless of our differences and if we crimp or not, right? So I really appreciate y'all putting up with me. So, but Jamie is okay. I know a lot of people asked that, so I wanted to address that and make sure y'all know he will be back next week running the show. Anybody else got any big plans for this weekend?
No, I wanted to add something on the crimp, and maybe you guys touch base on it. But like we were talking, the Lee factory crimp and the 45 ACP, it's got that sleeve that if you've got a slight bulge from a cast bullet or even just a regular bullet, it'll take some of that bulge out for you. So that's why I recommend going the two-step process from now on. And maybe you guys can elaborate a little bit on that.
I run the same die on my 44 Magnum, the taco molds.
Okay, but Mag's got one as well also. Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Just like what Squatch was saying, so like my first set of dies for pistol were RCBS, and I tried with the combo die because I wanted just to master it, right? And I found out real quick I need a Lee Factory crimp die. Real quick. After like 5 cases quick, I found out I need a Lee Factory crimp die. Same thing happened with 357 Magnum.
In a perfect world, if the brass was the same length and everything else was fine, that one-step process would be fine, like Squatch mentioned earlier. But with the variance of range brass, it's not worth messing with anymore for me, and that's just my opinion. I was a one-step guy for a long time, and I fought it, and I'm definitely a two-step guy.
Oh yeah. Let's see. We're like 13 minutes out, but I want to read some of these comments in the side chat. So let's see. Charles Irby's out there. He says he feel the round moving. Oh, give me this.
Just like Eagle Eye's talking about setback in an AR-10 right now. Eagle's got some special skills and some special tools. Once you get to that point, you can identify and measure setback. Good deal. But for the new guy on an AR platform, I would suggest, running a light crimp on them at least until you get those, skills developed.
I didn't mean to put that one up. Crimp groove. And you know what? I'll say this too. For all you guys or ladies and gentlemen who don't know, these people in the side chat are definitely some of them are perfectionists, some of them are experts, and some of them just well versed in their craft in this hobby. So if you can, like NYC Reloader, he puts out content. West Covina Dodge, Charles Irby, 6-shooter Texan, James Pollard. He does for Matthew. He does 223 cast bullets. I know he answered that in the side chat, and he does fairly well. You know what? I can cast almost anything, but that don't mean that they'll shoot good. But James Pollard is the man to talk to about that 223. So yeah, JCM 45 out
up
there.
in the chat.
Yep.
Jamie.
I'm struggling, Jamie.
I know we ain't. We're doing good.
Yeah, I was just messing around. And look, Eagle Eye shooting too. So, you know what? One person I want to shout out if I can. I've been watching his stuff, and I don't always comment, but K24, y'all should check out his stuff. Sometimes when a person, look. Sometimes we're not motivated until we get more people watching our stuff, and that's my opinion. But if we're all reloaders and we're all in the same community, Second Amendment, and we do a lot of other stuff, casting and stuff, sometimes when we get more subscribers, we're motivated to do more. If that makes sense. Oh, we're motivated to put out more, to show more, not to do more, to show more. So y'all get out there, check out K24 and James Paul. OL1 guy, thanks for joining us. Let me go back through this chat before we get off here.
Can I give a real quick shout out, Chico?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I want to give a real quick shout out to everybody that lives in the state of California. Congratulations. We had a victory for the Second Amendment. They have repealed the ban on 30-round magazines and deemed it unconstitutional.
Finally.
Woo!
And it was the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that flipped it.
Which is
Can you
odd.
imagine that?
Which is very odd.
Yes.
Carry on, sir.
Almost a little scary.
Oh yeah, I'm just shouting out before we tap out. Let's see. Jerry 1911, Reloaded 762, Charles over James Paul, Rebels out there. Idaho Rogers, USMC, thank you for joining us. Matthew Zerby said he's taking away a southern accent. We got a varsity chili dogs down here too, bro. NYC Reloaded. G Pitchner, he was the one that asked about that 223, casting that 223 projectile. So I really appreciate y'all, man. You know, all the questions and the advice. So sometimes whenever we go through the panel and we ask everyone's advice, because as you know, sometimes we're similar, but sometimes we're different. As far as if y'all remember talking about the crimping or talking about the where do we put the crimp on the cantilever, almost everyone said it in the same place. But when we started talking about crimping, everyone doesn't crimp. So that's why it's good to get everybody's perspective. And it all depends on what you're using it for. So it was like 40 of y'all out there until I started boring y'all, then the numbers started dropping. So I do appreciate the ones that hung around. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a good week to cast. I probably will not, because the rain and molten lead doesn't always make a good mixture. Echo, you got any big plans before this weekend? If I didn't ask you that already.
I think I may do a how to clean your AR-15 video. I have a buddy that I built an AR for, a real good family friend, and I'm going to do one so that he has it to look at, and probably end up going shooting with him this weekend as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. What about you, MCK?
I'm just going to do a little reloading, but mainly I'm focused on my trip next week. I'm heading down to Georgia, see some of you guys. So
Very cool.
just remember, guys, even the highly skilled people and the beginners, we all have something to learn and we all have something to share. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to share. So go over to you, Surrender.
In my city, I don't know if you guys have heard of a Girl and a Gun. It's another national organization. They had their first women's clay championship in my town. So I am going to meet those ladies tomorrow. I hung out with them the other day, a fun bunch of ladies. Shoot a little bit of birds, and I'm also headed down south to lurk and harass and loiter with Chico, Kyle, and Jamie, myself. And I just got my bench delivered, so I'm going to work on putting that together too. And shoot some stuff.
There you go.
Wow. Squatch, what about you, brother?
I've pretty much loaded out every projectile I have down here in the shop. So I'm going to spend some time, depending on the weather with humidity and stuff. I'm going to try to do some casting. do some powder coating just to keep busy. But we don't have a lot of big plans this weekend. I'm working again this weekend, so I don't have a lot of time. But I'm gonna try to get some casting in and start replenishing some of my stockpiles. I'm sure you guys know how that is. But I just want to thank everyone for jumping in. I appreciate the Ohio guys that jumped in. They've been asking a lot of questions, so I just told them to come on over here and hit us up in the side chat because it's all things we were talking about. So thanks for those guys for showing up, and thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. And my other brother up here, look, I think he's gonna cast tomorrow. He's looking back.
No, I'm looking down at the dog.
He started looking around. I was like, maybe he's gonna cast.
I got a couple of errands to run, a little bit of yard work to do. I'm gonna try to get all that stuff done before it gets hot because we all know it's gonna be that way tomorrow. Was hoping to get some rain tonight, but that didn't happen. I might warm up a couple of molds and see what I can do. I'm going to be probably casting side by side in the great cast off on Sunday night. Not going to be on the panel or anything, but I'm going to see how many I can do. Of course, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a 6 cavity mold. I got to cast up some 9mm. Let's see, as far as what's coming up, I don't know. Maybe me and Angel will go tubing Sunday before the great cast off, just to blow a little steam. Probably lose another hat or two, some keys. It's all good. But other than that, I ain't got nothing planned in the really close upcoming time. So there's that. Wrap us up, brother.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the cast off Kyle speaking of, our brother Jamie, JH586, is going to be like on a challenge, so to speak. It ain't so to speak. That's what it is. It's a challenge. I think he got called out, right? And my money's on Jamie. I just experience over, it's lack of or lesser. So him and Daniel is going to be.
Old age and treachery will always overcome youth and skill. And let me tell you, that boy can cast some bullets.
He definitely can. And I think Daniel hasn't been casting that long. So since Daniel won the tan-off challenge, he's calling out everybody, it seems like. So I don't know how that's going to go. I've got a good feeling. And Crazy Scotsman says Daniel's been practicing hard.
We need to lay the background down for it. We're doing a fundraiser for Justin's final mission.
That is correct.
There you go.
And if we can raise
Justin's final mission, at the end of this, I will put the link to Justin's final mission. You can go over there and read about it. So we do a lot of that over there on foreign and domestic. You guys know the Scotsman. The Scotsman has got a heart. Big as gold, and is always willing to help someone and get the word out. And the community, not just the reloading community, Second Amendment community, other communities, that's just how we roll. So,
to make it extra interesting, if we can raise enough money, me and Jamie are going to shave our beards off live.
And Bearded CB 82. Yeah. So,
Bearded CB 82.
That's right. So if they can hit $4,000 just the final mission, they will do a live shave off, so to speak.
Let the beard before.
Yep, for the beard. And the Scotsman's put the there you go. He put it up in the side, and I'm sure he's got a wrench where it can post.
You're not going to get a chance to post that link. Crazy Scotsman's going to do it for you.
I think that's why he has a wrench. I'm sure he does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't see it on this screen. So, yeah, everyone, thanks for joining us. So, y'all can catch us over there foreign and domestic. I'll be over there in the side chat. I think it's going to be a good show because I know Daniel's been practicing. And regardless, it all goes for a good cause. You know what I'm saying? To help out veterans. So get over there and check out that Active Heroes fundraiser link that you guys, if you want to learn more about Justin's final mission. Jamie, no problem, brother. You know, so I'm expecting probably Kyle and Jamie and Bearded CB's faces to look like babies by Sunday. So we will see. There will be a sight to see, but like I said, it goes for a good cause. And everyone, thanks for joining. See, we dropped 6 that quick. No, it's the end of the night. I'm just messing around. Thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. Catch us next week. Y'all can catch us. You want to email us, GeorgiaShootingConnection@gmail.com. We're on Instagram. We soon may be having a Facebook. And that's it. He says Fuzz has been against me all week. So everyone, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Everyone, tell everyone good night. And
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for joining.